Hey guys, Professor Bill of Comic Book University and the Magic Order, issue number 3. Alright, I'm going to get in a whole lot into my interpretation of what's going to happen in the future when this actually comes to Netflix, because this, as well as the entirety of the Millarverse, has been optioned for Netflix. And then I'm going to give you, but before that I'm going to give you a little bit of the story itself that happened in this comic book, and immediately I'm going to give you who did what. So, really quickly, Magic Order is written by Mark Millar. Olivier Coipel is the artist, Dave Stewart is the colorist, and Peter Dougherty is the letterer. So what basically happens here is the stuff that you're seeing right now with the guy who essentially is absorbing, he's eating the sexual energy from two bums getting it on in an alley, which is, okay, interesting. Hey, guys got to eat, right? Guys got to eat. Anyway. So this is Moonstone's other son, not Gabriel, I can't remember his name, but anyway, he's out looking for information to try and find this Venetian guy. They do find a little bit of information, like, oh, he's draped in Venetian gear. You know what that means? They're like, that means we can't track him. That's really weird. A little explanation about that would be cool, but I'm going to get more into that later. Anyway, Moonstone gets confronted directly here with the Venetian. Moonstone is the main guy, the main magician in the Magic Order, and he's got to go one-on-one because, like, these guys have a horrible plan. Like, yeah, I get it. You guys know magic really well. Cute. Could you guys actually get with a military guy who knows a little bit of strategy, who can maybe, you know, round you guys up a little bit better? You know he's coming to you, so why are you going after him? Rather than trying to figure out who this freaking guy is, why aren't you trying to set up a trap? Magicians, everyone that I've ever met, just, you know what, you spend all this time learning. I'm joking, but no, these guys are really not good at all when it comes to tactics. It's called setting a trap, moron, not going out and trying to find him and bumbling, you know, full face right into a wall that's trying to kill you, mind you. You know that these guys are coming after you. You know this guy is coming directly after you, so set up a trap, idiot. Anyhow, again, more on that in a little bit. The point that that the comic is really trying to make, though, is more on why Gabriel, Moonstone's son who refuses to do magic, he seems to be the main character in this, the main focus, I should say. Why he doesn't want to do magic. We know about his daughter, but now we learn what actually happens with his daughter in here. We see the effects on Gabriel's wife. We see, we've already known the effects on Gabriel himself. So that was really interesting. We got to see, and it's very simple too, but that's all it has to be. It doesn't have to be some complicated mess. The simplicity of this is actually beautiful. I love it, as heartbreaking as it is. So, yeah, very fun comic book, but the main problem I have with this comic book is that everything that's happening is just happening too fast. There's no real explanation. Now, I get it. It is what it is. And here's the thing that kind of bothers me about this. I don't know what Mark Millar's intent is here, but the story is not fleshed out very well at all in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. We're literally getting the topographical notes. That's it. It's topical. It's nothing else. There's no detail. If this were written into a novel, I think it would be 100 times better, maybe more, because we'd actually get some details. I would read the hell out of this if it were a novel. You know what I'm saying? And you can make this into a trilogy. You can make this into a continuing, because then who are they going to get after the magical order is destroyed? All sorts of amazing stories that you could tell with this world. But as a comic book, right now, this is not working at all. This is not working at all. I'm going to finish the comic series because I'm already, you know, knee-deep in it. I'm going to finish this particular series because I do want to know what's going to, what I can look for in the Netflix series when it eventually comes there. But I feel like Mark Millar specifically made this as a comic book just so that it could therefore be optioned by Netflix. That's it. Now, when it comes to Netflix, I believe that it is going to be fully fleshed out. I believe that we're going to have a whole lot more, because right now, none of these characters, there were many times I forgot who these characters' names were in the comic book that I'm already at issue 3 and I've read the other issues, but none of these characters are memorable at all, in the slightest bit. Not even remotely. Seriously, I want you to really stop and think for a second. If you've been reading, you're reading the third issue after you've read the previous two, are any of these characters actually memorable? Do any of them stand out in any way, shape, or form? No, not in the slightest. And that's the thing that's really killing me about this, is that this could be an amazing story, and I'm sure it will be when it comes to Netflix, and if somebody decides to make this into a novel. But right now, as a comic book, I believe that Mark Millar is simply doing, and I could be wrong, and I really hope that I am, because I love Millar's work, but I feel like Millar has become more of a businessman than a comic book writer at this point. And that's a very dangerous precipice that he's standing on. My opinion, and I'm getting to something completely different, my opinion on art. Art in a capitalistic world is a really messed up thing, man. Like, look, I get it. I understand the concepts of capitalism. I believe that there's a lot more than just capitalism and socialism. That's always the big thing with political pundits today. If you even want to call it, they're basically just newscasters. You can't even call them journalists anymore. Since when have we had a journalist? You know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of people who are doing what their bosses tell them to do. You know, that's really it. But there are such things as shades of gray in the world. It's not just capitalism and socialism. There are many different regards in between. Most of us who've actually studied at least one course on economics knows that we do not have a purely capitalistic society in America. Even though I'm living in Canada, I'm still American. We do not have a purely capitalistic society. We have many, 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 many socialist safeguards to try and protect us against capitalism. And one of the main problems that we're having is that a lot of these safeguards are being removed. So we're having more and more pure capitalism. It's one of the main reasons why we have such a huge divide between the top 1% and all of the rest of us. When we talk about, oh, I'm middle class, the only reason why we have a middle class in America and in Canada is because of credit. And if you don't and if you own your house through a mortgage or some sort of credit, newsflash, you don't actually own your house. If you're making payments on your car, whether it's a lease or it's, payments to, guess what? You don't actually own your car. Miss one payment, watch what happens. You know what I'm saying? You don't actually own these things, so you're not actually middle class, and that's an important thing for us to remember. The sun doesn't just appear in the sky and then disappear. No, it slowly rises. And before it rises, we start to see the light in the sky and all that before the actual sun starts to hit us. Like, there's so many shades of gray. It's not just, oh, they're trying to bring us, capitalists, or they're trying to bring us socialists, blah, blah. I'm more afraid of capitalism than I am of socialism. And any business owner would be terrified of pure socialism. You know what I'm saying? But the point I'm trying to make here is, with us being so capitalistic right now, it's kind of hard for an artist to be a true artist because he's got to eat. She's got to, have a place to stay. We, artists, have to make money some way, shape, or form in order to feed ourselves, so you have to compromise your art. Now, somebody who doesn't understand art, this conversation is not for you. You should have left a while ago. But anybody who does appreciate art really needs to understand that art is majorly compromised when you've got to do things so you can eat and to fund your actual creativity. And that hampers our creativity because we're not all born equal, not in any way, shape, or form. Some of us are more logical, some of us are more artsy, and then we have all the people who are in between. And all of us in that regards are important. So while I am upset that it seems like Mark Millar is doing exactly that, it's really hard to blame the guy because he's got to eat. You know what I'm saying? He wants to be able to have some wealth while he's still alive, while he can still enjoy life. So it's hard to fault him. It's kind of messed up, is what it is. Yeah, that was an interesting rant on economics, right? Regardless, I do believe this is going to be really good in the Netflix series. But right now, I feel that this whole comic book is compromised by the idea of Mark Millar feeling the need to get something out there so that it can be optioned by Netflix for a TV series, which I think will be good. But this comic in and of itself, not so much. You can see the appearance of so many great ideas, but man, it's not great. It's not great. When I'm reading a comic book saying, I wish that this were a novel, it's not great. That's it for me, guys. Sorry, not sorry. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.